Tickets are on sale now for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s and 90s WrestleFest Birthday Bash, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Reiss.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, another WWE Monday Night Raw in the books this week from San Francisco, California. Earlier tonight, if you missed it, we had the premiere of Rey Mysterio's Cauliflower Alley Club Lucha Libre Award presentation from Las Vegas, Nevada last month. It is available online now. But get ready, kick back, and relax for the premiere of everybody's favorite Monday night tradition after Monday Night Raw. I can only be talking about one thing, the man that is the vice president of Boston Wrestling MWF. He is a former WWF Tag Team Championship manager that nearly blew the roof off of every major arena from coast to coast and around the globe. I can only be talking about the O in Men on a Mission, Oscar. Oscar, it is a pleasure to have you with us yet again here on Monday nights, baby.
Hey, man, good afternoon, Daniel. How are you?
Yeah, you remember that Michael Jackson song, Just Beat It?
Yeah.
We've come up with the song, Just Pig It, Pig It. I'm about pigging it out, but at least it's a holiday. I am escaping the confines of the studio a little early again. I've got to see 2 great baseball games this week with the third today. I don't treat myself to much in life, as I'm usually glued to this studio for at least 10 to sometimes even 12 or more hours a day. But you know what? It is the Red Sox. They're in the playoffs. I'm happy. The Yankees wild card game was out of control with the electricity and excitement. And then last night, I think one of the great sports games in Boston sports history with that walk-off home run in the bottom of the 14th inning. I don't know how much of a baseball fan you are, but to me, it was great. I was happy to go.
Well, I'm glad you got. I'm glad you get to do some recreational things, at least to take your mind off the BS, if not for just a while.
Well, you know what? Not everybody is as lucky as you to have a dreamy Mimi to go home to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know, but things are really, really stressful down here, and hot Atlanta just ain't so hot right now.
Well, are you with the little one that you mentioned?
No, we cannot get the little one because we don't have a place to live yet.
So where is this baby right now? Just roaming the streets, or?
Yeah, the baby's with her grandmother in Michigan.
In Michigan?
Yeah.
Now, how are you going to get the baby from Michigan to Atlanta?
Well, the baby's man, this is kind of complicated. Okay, the baby's great-grandmother, that's where she's at now. But the grandmother is coming to move down here to the Atlanta area. And when she comes, she going to bring the baby with her and give us the baby.
So they're going to drop off the baby almost like a bag of groceries or something.
They're going to drop off the baby like a bag of potatoes. You got it.
Now, you told me you were checking into a hotel. What is going on with your situation? I know you were told by your landlord that you couldn't have this baby.
I cheated myself. I spent the last 4 days at this hotel called the Wingate, and it was not the worst place that you can be, but it wasn't the best. So I got fed up with it yesterday, and now I'm at a Courtyard by Marriott, and I done cheated myself. I should have been here at the Courtyard the whole time. It was just like $5 more a night, and this is miles from what I was staying in.
Yeah. Well, that's good that you found a place that at least it was in the same ballpark financially and you like it more.
Yeah, no, this is great in comparison. I'm really comfortable right now, but I'm not comfortable knowing that I'm spending money, but gonna need money to move. So every dollar that you spend saps away from, you don't know how much it's gonna cost to move into a place. I mean, And
And you just
I've
moved
come
on top of it.
yeah, I've come to find that when you gotta move and you need a place to apartment or something, that's not something that you can easily throw money at. There's other factors involved, your credit score, your this, your that, a background. So you can have $100,000, but that don't mean nothing if your paperwork ain't right. And moving is really a pain. It's
It,
painstaking and ugh.
it's one of the worst experiences I think a human being can go through. I
Yeah,
hate moving.
and then you find a place, and the aesthetic of moving itself. I mean, if you can't afford to hire some guys, you got a bad back, a bad heart, and oh man,
I can't see you moving too many couches at this point.
I ain't moving nothing. I'm paying guys, and that's another expense. But I sit down out the way and let them do all the work. Dreamy Mimi is like a crack rabbit. She just got to be doing stuff. I'll be like, sit down, put that down. That's what you're paying guys for. She make me sick with that.
Now, where is Mimi? Is she at the hotel or is she traveling?
No, she's here.
Oh, she's at the hotel too. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good then. At least you're not alone. I know for a
Yeah,
while
no.
Mimi was in Indiana trying to get things done, and you were in Atlanta just trying to keep an eye on things.
Yeah, everything is out of Indiana. Everything is here in storage. So now it's just the process now of doing all the paperwork and
So have you found a place and they're going through the process, or you're still looking?
no, I've actually found a condo,
Oh, okay.
and we going back and forth with the lady now.
Okay. So you think you're close?
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing that where we couldn't find a place,
Mm-hmm.
and then just the other day we found like 10. We found like 10 places.
Oh,
So
wow. Oh,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah, we are close. We'll have something by the end of the week.
Have you spoke to David Reese about it?
Not about this,
No.
but I have spoken to him, and
Well, you are president and vice president. You should be in
yeah,
communication.
he is 2 steps away from finalizing that major deal that we've been discussing, and in all actuality, he actually finalized the deal. To be honest, he's just getting ready to go through orientation.
Orientation, really? Someone
Yeah,
at the
he's
level
gonna.
of David Reese needs an orientation?
Well, he needs an orientation to have a Skype call to meet with the principals just to introduce himself and
Oh, I
everything
see.
like that, and all that other stuff like that. Basically, I can tell you all, David Reese is on board with AEW. This is the big announcement. He's going to
Blockbuster.
be with AEW. He's going to be their on board, psychiatrist and counselor, sort of a therapist, which is what we've been talking about for years that the industry needs. They need a guy, professional guy, that the talent can come to and talk to when they've got problems. He's had a couple of sessions already. I can't say who with, that's confidential, but he has had a couple of sessions, and he's about got this thing, kicked into full gear. Now he's not a wrestling aficionado, a former in-ring worker, but I am going to help him navigate through the waters of that particular side of what he's doing. So our dream is coming true to be able to help talent in just the way that we've always described we wanted to help talent.
Well,
So,
you know what? They couldn't have found a better man for the job, that's for sure.
no, they could not have found a better man for the job. You got that right. He's empathetic. He's professional. He treats confidentiality. Because I've known David Reese probably about 10 years now, and he's not yet once mentioned a name of a person he's treated. And there's nothing. I respect him to the highest level of respect by doing that because he takes his oath very seriously. He takes his job very seriously. He works hard at it, and AEW could not have a better man for that position.
Well, I guess WWE's loss is AEW's gain, like you could say about
And
a lot of people lately.
there's WWE's loss and AEW's game follows the spectrum of a whole lot of different places these days. And I'm sorry to say that because, I've been a loyalist for WWE for years, ever since they gave me an opportunity. But these days, it is what it is. I mean, they have really, and I believe it. I believe they're going to step up, and I believe they're going to step up and be the leader in this sport by far. Because they're going to, they're going to put the resources behind doing that. I believe it. I believe it. But let's be real. I believe it. But that don't mean it's going to be so, because if AEW keeps doing this and WWE is just, it's going to have, whatever, they're really going to be, not really going to be, they're really going to maintain the competitiveness that they're maintaining across the board in the wrestling industry. And it's just amazing to see. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime, but here it is.
Yeah, what is that?
WWE actually having some full-on competition.
Well, you saw it with WCW in the 90s.
No. When I say that, I say see it again.
Again. I see what you mean.
WWE was by itself and running in the field alone. Couldn't nobody touch him or get close. ROH wasn't close. Impact wasn't close. They were independents compared to what WWE is, but AEW is not. AEW is really, really kicking ass.
Well, you know what? It's really the only wrestling promotion in the country right now that has positive momentum behind it. So that's a great thing for the industry overall, and now even better for the company and those individuals working in the company. They have a resource as President Dr. David Reiss. Everybody's winning.
That is a very, very winning situation. And, I'm proud of Dr. Reiss to be, to be in this position. And for those people who, put his name out there and was talking bad about him, I ain't gonna mention no names, talking bad about him, talking about what is he doing, this, that. First of all, it was never his responsibility. You understand what I'm saying? Well, people want to badmouth. It was never his responsibility.
Who was bad? I don't understand. Who was bad-mouthing him and why?
Well, I'll say there was a comment by Mo talking about, well, what is Dr. Reiss doing about this, that, and the other thing? Yeah. So, but it was not. I didn't understand that because it was never his responsibility to do anything. His responsibility was for the world at large, not wrestling at all. But when wrestling approached him, him being the super duper fan of wrestling that he is and caring about wrestling and sports and entertainment the way he does, he jumped on the bandwagon without even blinking.
Well, and you know what? I think it's going to pay dividends for that company. I think it's good for them to have an active resource. I know WWE has sent out a memo to the talent that if they're in need of mental health assistance, they're willing to try and help the cause. But I don't think it's at this level where they're going to have someone on board on a regular basis.
Yeah, no, first of all, kudos to the WWE. Something they should have did a lot. They needed that, and I said this 1,000 times. They needed a mental health resource far more Then they needed drug and rehab, which they were behind and paying for in droves all of these years. So, and while that was going on, everybody was just going crazy, period. So, they needed therapy back when I was there, back in the 90s. I asked about therapy. And I was told, no, we don't have nothing like that. Because I really needed it because the things I was going through, I really felt like I was getting depressed and I really felt like I was, losing my mind. I wanted to quit because it had gotten that bad. And it was God himself that brought me out of it because that's the only thing that kept me there. Not to get religious or anything, anything. I'm never gonna not thank God for where I'm at, and what brought me through things in life. Never gonna deny that. Always gonna say it. But I needed help. I really did. But they didn't have the resource. They didn't have nothing close to it. And over the years, what have I been telling you? What have I been saying?
That they should have it.
That they should have it. I've been saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it. So now, now they okay, so we're gonna do this. But like you just said, AEW to put it one step further, they got a guy, even if it wasn't Reese. Good. You got a guy on board that the talent can go to at any time when they got a mental crisis or a mental problem. It's gonna negate suicides. It's gonna negate in-ring accidents because a guy done lost his mind. It's gonna a lot of backstage tension will be down now because people got somebody that they can talk to.
Well, again, I think everybody's a winner in this situation in AEW, if nothing else.
No, and this is one of the most important steps in wrestling that I've seen in a long time across the board.
Well, hopefully it goes half as well as it looks on paper, and then, like I said, I think everybody wins.
If it does, Reese is going to be up when AEW have Hall of Fame awards. Reese should be at the top of the list.
Reese, you think will go into the AEW Hall of Fame?
And this whole thing needs to go well. If he does it, I'm not saying he will. If he does it, he will. If this thing goes half as good as what it should look like, he would deserve that honor because he would be a key figure keeping the business on track.
Well, and what more can you ask for?
No, you can't ask for nothing else. I'm praying for him. God bless him, and I'm there to help him in any way I can.
All right. Well, you know what? We look forward to hearing more from President Reese, what that's going to mean to his time here in Boston Wrestling MWF. But on to other news and notes in the world of professional wrestling before we hit the timeout. What did you think of the WWE draft, Oscar? Kind of underwhelming, something that I think is becoming kind of boring and stale every year now. Your thoughts on the recent draft?
I don't understand. I understand two different shows. I don't understand two different brands. The whole thing would be better if everybody could just go where they're needed and great matches are created, just across the board on a constant basis. You don't need two brands where over here these guys are having matches and these guys are having that one title situation over there and then vice versa. Everybody just go wherever it is they needed to make a good damn product and it would be a better show. But that's me. That's just my opinion.
I disagree with you 110% on that. I think the best thing they can do is try and differentiate each show to have its own identity. The problem is they go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then over the course of the year, they allow the talent to interact with each other on TV. They have the Survivor Series, brand versus brand, just a few weeks after the draft takes place. We're going to talk about Survivor Series after the break. But, it's just, to me, I would set it up different. And I mentioned this on one of our other talk shows. I think the draft should be shortly after WrestleMania. And what I would do I would allow each show to draft maybe 2 or 3 NXT superstars to kind of freshen things up. It's almost like everyone involved in the WWE draft has never seen how a Major League Sports draft occurs and how it's executed and what it means. For WWE, it's just, throwing out names at random with really no rhyme and reason behind it. And I think
so what you're saying is, before there was a SmackDown where we just went wherever the hell we needed, that didn't work then, right?
I think they should treat it as 2 different companies. I think you should almost look at it like WWE is Major League Baseball. One team is the Red Sox, one team is the Yankees, one team are the Orioles, and instead you have Raw, SmackDown, and NXT.
All right, well, how about this? Why WrestleMania can't be like the World Series where the top guy from SmackDown, there's one title, right? One. The top guy from SmackDown or the top guy from Raw vie it out at WrestleMania, and then whoever wins that wins the World Championship.
That's what they try and do at Survivor Series every year, and again, it's turned into kind of a flat concept because you have a draft that takes place just 6 weeks before Survivor Series, and then all of a sudden, these brands are supposed to care so much about who's on the other show that they want to fight it out for brand supremacy, and it's boring, it's been overdone. I like your concept better. I'm big on the idea of, I think there should just be one world champion, period, for the men and the women, and that they float to both shows. But that's just one man's opinion.
Yeah, well, that's not the way it is right now. And when AEW, and I honestly still think that they're structuring, when AEW gets the structure, because they have a myriad of talent. Oh my God, there's so many people. Do you see them creating a couple of brands like that? I don't know, to kind of like even things out, because they got a lot of people.
Once they're able to distinguish themselves a little bit more in the world of professional wrestling, I think they should. Have Dynamite be one show, have Rampage be another brand, is what I meant to say, with 2 split rosters. But you know what? I think while they have found great success for a company that's only been on television for 2 years, to the casual fan, to the average fan, there's still a lot of people that aren't familiar with who they are and what they do. There's maybe some fans that know that it exists, but they really haven't had a chance to sample too much of it. So if I was AEW, I would focus on establishing themselves more and more to try and get that casual average fan to familiarize themselves with the product. And then maybe 2-3 years from now, go the route of Raw and SmackDown, where they have 2 separate identities, 2 separate brands, and go in that direction. But I think right now, AEW is still so new. They're still in the feeling out process. There's still a lot of things they don't do right, and that's not a knock against them. I mean, it's growing pains. It's going to happen in any company, whether you're talking about wrestling, whether you're talking about sports, whether you're talking about setting up a shoe shop. You know what I mean? It's just, that's the nature of the beast. When you have something new, you're going to make mistakes along the way. But luckily for AEW, the past few months, the shows have been just improving so much, and the quality is improving so much, and the segments that I wouldn't have put on national TV early on that AEW chose to feature, there's not as much of that anymore, and I think that's great for them. I think it's great for the wrestling fans. For those that say, well, look, the Dynamite's rating is through the roof, I mean, a lot of that has to do with NXT changing nights. There's no wrestling fan having to choose going back and forth station to station. But you know what? As long as those numbers continue to hold steady, it really doesn't matter as long as those eyeballs are watching. So that's another positive for them. They have a lot of things going right for them. There's still a few things I think they could improve upon. But the big thing is identity of AEW. When you say pro wrestling, people think WWE. There was a point, in the late 90s, as you recall, that WCW was right there with them. And at this point, I don't think, while AEW has found great success in their first 2 years, I don't think the average Joe on the street really knows what AEW is. And if I was Tony Khan, that would be one of my big picture goals, beyond the quality of the week-to-week television shows and the pay-per-views, is to try and get that name out there embedded in the average person's head. How they do that? You could look at it in many different ways. They tried the Tyson route and the Shaquille O'Neal route. But I mean, is it an advertising campaign? I remember seeing an ad for it, I believe, on one of the NBC Sunday Night Football games of the week. I think that's a great start. It's not something that's going to happen quick. WWE, for better or worse, has been around since the early 60s. And even before that, when you look at the work that Jess McMahon did, and even Vince McMahon Sr. before they formed the WWWF with Buddy Rogers as the first champion. So I think it's going to take time. It's going to take a little bit of patience. But, with the money that AEW has, the talent pool that they're creating, I don't think it's impossible. What do you think?
I agree with everything you said. AEW is, kind of obscure right now in the grand scheme of things. But you can't dispel the momentum that they've got right now. How long are they really going to be like that? Because, they acquired CM Punk. What kind of major move is that? You understand what I mean? He has the potential to be a breakout star in so many ways. CM Punk has the talent to be a major movie star. And WWE was on the map, but The Rock did it, and that put him majorly on The Rock. People that don't know wrestling know The Rock.
Right. And I think that's the point I'm almost making with WWE and AEW. There's a couple of million wrestling fans that are familiar with AEW. If you went around the United States, I don't know what the population is, but I know it's over 300 million people. I would say, for better or worse, the majority of those people, even if they detest pro wrestling, they know what WWE is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think if I'm Tony Khan, that would be my big picture.
My goal they don't know what WWE is, but the name is everywhere. That would be my goal if I'm Tony Khan too. When you hear AEW, you may not watch it, but you know what it is. Right. When you hear WWE, you know what it is, whether you watch wrestling or not.
Right. Yeah.
You can do a poll on the street, and 8 out of 10 people that you ask, do you know what WWE is? People are going to say, it has something to do with wrestling.
Right.
So that's what Tony Khan, that's what he should be, and if not, he's smart. That's what he's aspiring to. Do you know what AEW is? It's got something to do with wrestling. Yeah. So, once you get that, then, you on your way to bigger numbers and better. Because, see, people know what WWE is. For a lot of people, curiosity puts asses in seats. Curiosity has people tune on their television. They know the name, so they're going to tune to it to see what it is. And if they like what they see, bam, you got a loyal week-to-week fan just like that.
There you go.
It's a great campaign.
All right, wrestling fans, what do you think? If you're watching along during the premiere after Raw, share your thoughts in the premiere chat box on the right side of the screen. Don't forget that super chat button is always open. If you're not watching during the premiere, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let YouTube know that you're interacting and engaging with us. Give the show a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. You get access to over 2,000 free videos. Right now, we're going to take a brief time out. When we come back on the flip side, we'll have more with the man on a mission himself, Oscar. We'll be right back. Tickets are on sale now for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s and 90s WrestleFest Birthday Bash, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Baltimore Civic Center in Baltimore, Maryland, Friday, October the 11th, 1985. In the opening contest, Scott McGee beat Rene Goulet. Corporal Kirchner with the win over Barry O. Macho Man Randy Savage defeated S.D. Jones. Tony Gurria victorious over Tom Reiss, replacing the Masked Superstar. In the main event, Andre the Giant, Barry Windham, and Mike Rotundo beat Big John Studd, King Kong Bundy, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. WWF Tag Team Champions, the Dream Team, retained the titles over the British Bulldogs, and the Junkyard Dog with the win over Nikolai Volkov. If you were in Baltimore live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our world-renowned Patreon streaming service, so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends work. Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marati.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Johnny, the momentum here in Boston wrestling continues as we continue to build and build and build. The fans want to know, how do we help? We subscribe to the Patreon, but we see all the great merchandise on that set. Coronavirus may have killed the nightlife, especially for someone like Marty, but our acclaimed eBay store is open 24/7 around the world.
Wow. Check it out.
Support Wrestling Insiders in-studio shoot interviews on eBay with this brand new personally autographed WWE Royal Rumble 2021 11x14 poster signed by WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, his advocate Paul Heyman, and Kevin Owens. Reigns and Owens battled for the Universal title in a last standing match January 31st in the Thunderdome in Tampa. This limited edition collector's poster is number 31 of only 50 produced. Comes with WWE authentication hologram on the poster itself. Also comes with an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas and a bonus autographed 8x10 photo. Get this rare, awesome collectible for your man cave and help keep wrestling legends working now. Wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area, we want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889. All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to Wrestling Insiders Monday Night Mission, your treat after what could be a outstanding or a lackluster 3-hour WWE Monday Night Raw, depending upon your point of view. What do you got?
I got a great segment for right now for the next five minutes.
All right.
Read some comments from some fans. We never do that.
You read some comments from fans.
I have not. I've asked them, telling you to read. No, read some comments from some fans because they write them and they deserve some of them, even if they're bad. They take the time to write them. So what we gonna do is pay tribute to y'all and read some of the stuff that y'all write into us.
Well, the problem is, Oscar, we're not live right now, so I can't read the comments.
You suck. Okay.
Well, I mean, if we were doing this at 11 o'clock on Monday night, I would be able to read their thoughts. But you know what? Maybe what I can do is I can take some notes from the comments and we can review them next week.
Yeah, take some notes from comments, even if they're bad. Maybe it's some stuff we could improve on. Maybe it's somebody that I could cuss out real quick. But whatever it is, we should pay homage to some of the people that take the time to listen to us.
Well, you know what?
On Monday night.
Without these great fans, there is not much of us.
That's right.
I know there's a lot of fans that are looking forward to meeting you, getting an autograph, a post photo, Saturday night, November the 13th, from the historic Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. We're getting closer and closer and closer as I'm losing my mind more and more by the day about this big event. But you know what? Live wrestling, autograph photo, fan fest, VIP Q&A, a chance to not just see the stars, but meet the stars from that back to the 90s generation, the new generation of the World Wrestling Federation that you were such a big part of. I know the fans are excited to meet you along with a host of others. Again, Saturday night, November the 13th, Memorial Hall. We celebrate 20 years of Boston Wrestling MWF. It is amazing that it is 20 years, but I digress.
Yeah, so what's the latest with that? You resolve your differences with Piggott, or y'all still at it?
My situation is unresolved, but it's turning into more and more of a situation for Piggott. There is an ongoing, I don't know how deep I can dive into this, but there is an investigation with the City Hall going on towards Piggott.
Oh, well. Oh, God. Why are they investigating my friend Piggott?
I've been asked by the human resources folks not to discuss too much about it, but I do feel comfortable enough saying at least that there's an investigation going on about what's been a miserable 13-year experience having to deal with her in what is a beautiful, wonderful, first-class, a wonderful facility. It's aged a little bit. That's why we have they have their restoration fund to try and make those improvements that the venue needs. But, it hosted pro wrestling and boxing all the way back in the 1930s and 40s. And I love the venue. There's just, I guess what you could call a personality conflict that goes on everywhere. I've been trying to find a positive resolution to it since 2008. The great Mayor of Melrose we had, Mayor Dolan, was a great friend of ours, and he tried to help. But, right now there's a conflict of interest, so to speak, as the current mayor of the city is the brother-in-law of Piggott. So a lot is going on in my world when it comes to that venue.
And wait, clear this up for all of us, just to bring us up to speed. Piggott is who again?
She is the director of the hall.
She's the director of the hall.
And a major pain in my ass. When I spoke with President Reese, he diagnosed me with PTSD. He said it was Piggott traumatic stress syndrome. I said I've been suffering from it for over a decade, President. Piggott even disrespected David Reese.
Whoa. What you say about David Reese? Nobody should have nothing bad to say about David Reese. The sweetest guy on the planet.
Well,
you say?
As we were trying to go over some of the logistics and whatnot, I had mentioned that President Reese was the former resident psychiatrist at Melrose Wakefield Hospital, and when we are in such a crazy time in our world right now, especially with COVID madness still going on, I mentioned that the President Reese would be there, and she told Chairman Manolian, I don't need help from that doctor.
Ooh.
So, she even had...
The hell you don't.
I think she might need help from David Reiss more than anyone, but that's a different story
And just
for
the
a
way,
different time.
if she said it the way you just said it, then she sound like she crazy as hell.
Oh, that's how she says everything. That's how she says, unless there's a politician around, then it's a very different tone of voice. But
oh, is that right?
oh, let me tell you, when we had our last telemeeting back in August, there was the mayor's assistant on the phone, and it was a very different tone of voice. I'm sure you remember the Facts of Life from back in the 80s, that sitcom. She sounded almost like the woman that she kind of resembles, Edna Garrett.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. If they were ever to make a movie or a documentary about the Facts of Life, I think she could play Mrs. Garrett, but I don't know. Certainly not personality-wise, but yeah, that's why they're called actors and actresses, I guess. Well, if she was a nice human being that treated people with respect instead of talking down to them like a dog, there would be no need for it.
It don't matter. You cannot fix somebody else's problem. The only person's problem you can fix is yours.
And she is my problem.
Now, what I'm trying to tell you is you catch more flies with sugar than you do with vinegar. Meaning, she got I've told you this before. She got the leverage. You don't. You got to play the game. You try to get the building to manage your event and your affairs. So in order to do that, you got to eat some crow, put the shit back up in your ass, and you got to play the game, and you have got to play nice.
Once the check... Go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
Whether they play nice or not is not your affair. She is director of the building. You are not. Right now, she's in the building. I'm in the building. Everybody in the building. Your ass in the parking lot. You need to do something about that.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see what the outcome of the investigation at City Hall is. I'm looking forward to seeing what the outcome
see, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
What's that?
Forget.
Do you think I should tell them to drop the investigation?
Yeah, drop the investigation.
But
that will go a long way. That will go a long way to you. You know, it's an old saying: to go along, you got to get along.
It wasn't my.
You're missing the point. It don't matter if it was mine. It wasn't mine. It wasn't her. It wasn't who. We need you in the damn building.
But my
so
point.
You gotta bite your tongue and maybe even be apologetic so that you can get the desired result you try to get to.
What I'm trying to say is the investigation was not my idea. That was human resources.
All right. Well, you need to tell human resources from your perspective that, you know what, Piggy got her faults. I got my faults. We all do. Whatever it is, drop the investigation and then tell Piggott that you did her that favor, and then that'll smooth things over so that you can be in the house on November 13th. Then after that, you do all the investigations you want.
Well, like I said, even though we I guess respectfully disagree, since 2008 when she took over, I have been trying to find a positive resolution to this. I could reference. Yeah. We've had meetings at City Hall. I could reference, and that I attempted to try and find mutual ground. And as soon as I walked into the meeting with the mayor's aide, she said, "I refuse to talk about anything from the past. I'm here to talk about the future." Well, you know what?
Okay,
the future sucked as much as the past did.
Okay, all right. First of all, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
To start mending this fence. What the hell is her real name?
That's it.
Her real name ain't Piggott, damn it.
Yes, it is.
Her name is Piggott?
Yes. I'm about ready to fall out of my chair. Yes, that is her name.
That's her last name or her first name?
No, it's definitely her last name.
No.
Do you want to hear a funny story? Oh my God! And this goes back to before I even knew who she was. She was involved in I think it was like the 100-year parade in Melrose, and the people that hosted it, they didn't know who she was, and they handed a sheet of paper, special thanks to blah blah blah. So they said that it can't be pronounced Piggott. And her full last name is Piggott Broder. But when the host thanked her, they said, well, we'd like to give a special thanks to Kathy Piggott Broder. They tried to make it almost sound French and smooth. You know what I mean? But, and to show you what they've dealt with, I guess she came, I wasn't here, so I can't take claim to this, but she walked in and she literally screamed out loud, "Whiz!" whatever the man's name was that produced it. And she demanded, even though it was live and it aired and it was done, she demanded it to be re-edited with Piggott in the video, but there was no video to edit. But anyway, so she's just got a sparkling personality and reputation. I have spoken to people that have been involved with rentals there from the ages 20 to 70, and I have yet to find anyone that has had a much of a positive thing to say. I was assisting in a comedy special that took place in Melrose, and I just happened to be at the bar having a beverage with I don't want to go too deep into who the man was, but he rents the venue twice a year for a, I can't even, well, I wouldn't want to say it even if I did, but he rents it for a nonprofit reason. And he said, he almost sounded like he was speaking my words. He said, there's stress and issues every time we rent there. She's always trying to nickel and dime us and come up with another fee. It's just a nuisance. And I said, I know how you feel, brother. I said, I've been dealing with it since 2008. The man that used to run the venue, Chuck Person, he was excited to have an event for kids, to give them something to do on the weekends. He gave us a great price, and then he wound up leaving the post, and Piggott came in, and Piggott doubled the rent for the first event before we even had a chance to sit down and set the ring up. So it's been a difficult clash of personalities since 2008, which is unfortunate, because I'll tell you this, and you may not believe me, but in all honesty, I've never wanted to dislike the woman. I'd rather get along with her.
Well,
Ed McGarrett.
You probably told me this before. Why the hell y'all just don't pack up your tents and go someplace else?
Because you know where the studio is located and you know where the venue is located. What more do I need to say?
Go somewhere else. That's what you need to say.
Well, there's the matter of convenience that goes along with it. Can I go this far, Oscar? I don't know if I can share something confidential on a podcast like this.
Sure.
Well, you know what? Again, to try and find a positive resolution to a very stressful situation, I sent a very lengthy email outlining at that point what would have been 11 years of stress and frustration renting the building to the mayor back in December of 2019. Because we had an interim mayor before him, he took office the day after the election as opposed to waiting until January, like normal inaugurations. It was probably, if you printed it, about 7 pages. And again, his sister-in-law family dynamic, I get it. But as I have referenced this in the more recent issues, City Hall has claimed that because of the transfer of mayors, they never received it. And they had to have their IT department do a giant internal investigation, and they finally found this mysterious email, Oscar. So they're either trying to sell me that A, for 6 weeks the mayor wasn't getting any emails, or B, the only email he didn't get was the one that was filled with complaints about his sister-in-law. I find that a little hard to believe. I spoke to one of a former city elected official, and he laughed in my face when I told him the story.
So what you're trying to say is
little work going on.
The brother-in-law buried the emails.
I don't want to go that far because he seems like a decent enough guy from my interactions with him before he became mayor, but I find it hard to believe that either A, for 6 weeks he wasn't getting any emails as he sat in his office every day, or B, that the only email that went missing was the one about his sister-in-law. It kind of defies logic if you think about it. And I know you're a man that thinks with great common sense. Something isn't right in Gotham when it comes to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all right.
Does it not sound a little odd to you?
80s, 90s, whenever the frick. It really don't matter, do it?
No, it does
If people
matter.
wanna
It
see
does
him, they
matter.
wanna see
It's
him.
a themed event. If it's a themed event, we want to give the fans where the people fit in. Like with Jim Duggan, for example, he's a man that had, a pretty big run in the 90s along with the 80s. I mean, he main evented in the Boston Garden in 1993 against Yokozuna for the World Championship. You look at the Doctor of Style Slick. He managed many great talents in the 1990s. You look at Marty Jannetty. He won the tag team titles and the Intercontinental title in the 90s.
The Doctor of Style Slick.
Yeah.
Don't he belong to the 80s?
Well, I mean, did he do things in the 80s? Yes, but he also did great things in the 90s. So he fits either one.
In the 90s, I remember seeing him, and I was there, and I got there early in the 90s.
Well, he was there
Slick?
there until 93.
Oh, okay.
I think you need to check out WWE Network.
I don't need to check. I'm not negating what you're saying. I just don't remember seeing him. I remember seeing him in Texas. One day he stopped by.
I remember. No, what I'm saying is that those three that we had booked for the 80s, they fit either theme. So I said, you know what? As I tried to pitch this, I said, let's keep those three at least that the fans were expecting and to see, and include them in the 90s grouping because they were part of the company in the 90s.
All right. You know what? All the math is confusing me. The 80s, the 90s, the 70s.
Well, I think it'd be hard to put together a Back to the 70s. I think we'd need the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Yeah, we would need the DeLorean from Back to the Future because ain't nobody from the 70s gonna make it.
Well, before we go, Oscar, a couple of tidbits that I wanted to hit. What about Survivor Series? You being a New York guy yourself originally, it's pretty much dead on arrival. There's practically zero interest in it. The tickets aren't moving. What do you think about one of WWE's marquee pay-per-view events of the year in their backyard, basically, in New York, not having much luck?
You know,
why don't the fans want to go?
That's really, really, really sad. And the reason because New York has always supported everything WWE, even in the bad times. In the worst of times, Madison Square Garden was always packed, and New Yorkers always supported everything. I mean, I've never seen nowhere else in the country support WWE in whatever state that it was in like New York. Now, if New York can't get behind it, then what there's going to have to happen is, and it's not too late, they're going to have to restructure that card to where it's a blockbuster potential. How they do that, I have no idea.
Well,
I couldn't tell you.
Other than fans knowing that it's going to be generally champion versus champion and have the 5-on-5 matches from the two brands, the lineup isn't known. I think it goes back to what I mentioned earlier in the show. You're doing a draft about 6 weeks before Survivor Series. These wrestlers don't have any long-term attachment to the brands. Why are the fans supposed to care?
Nope, that's a really good point.
I think it's showing in the ticket sales. I think it's honestly very sad that they have not sold out Survivor Series in Brooklyn, New York yet.
No, what I'm trying to tell you is you still got, Vince McMahon ain't crazy. He sees how things are going. So what they're going to wind up doing is, if people don't care, they're going to pull out all the stops within the next 6 weeks, even if they got to shuffle some things around, to make everybody care. I mean, you still got plenty of time.
Oh, sure.
I mean,
it's not like it's this weekend. Yeah.
Right. It's an experiment across the board. And one formula is not working, then you definitely try something else. But they're gonna have a show. They're gonna have a show no matter what. So I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Well, I find it just disappointing. I think
And
those.
then if they don't, I don't mean to cut you off.
Sure, no, go ahead.
If they don't, you got that mega Royal Rumble you get ready to have that's gonna make up for it anyway. So I wouldn't worry about it.
And that's what I find sad about it. Look at how great SummerSlam did, coming out of I guess what you might call quote unquote the worst of the virus at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. They had well over 40,000 people there. Royal Rumble is going to be at the Dome in St. Louis in January, and that'll do very well. Obviously, WrestleMania is going to be at AT&T Stadium in Dallas this year. For Survivor Series, just not to be able to sell out immediately a regular size venue, not just a regular size venue, but a regular size venue in their backyard, I think that says a lot about the popularity of the product right now.
It says a lot personally for me, and you make a good point that I'm going to reinforce. It says a lot for me personally where when they have something major, and it's pretty much WrestleMania. About 5 years in a row, not being on a roster, just going, I was excited to go hang out. I was excited just to go be part of the energy, meet some fans, stay at the host hotel a couple of nights, meet some of the new talent and whatever. And it was an exciting little vacation for me. So why don't I have the desire to do it anymore? And that just speaks volumes to me about the state and where things are. So that's a personal observation. Just one man's state of where I'm at with it all right now.
You're just bored with it.
It's not.
You're not
I
bored
wish.
with it.
I wish it was. I wish it was that simple, but it's not that simple. I mean, just uninspired. Just no reason to want to do it. Just not even in my future travel plans as a maybe.
Well,
no interest at all.
it's sad that you feel that way, but I guess the bad thing is you're not alone.
There you have zeroed in on the point. I'm not alone. Where is the excitement, the fervor, the inspiration, the fire, God, even if I can't go to the show, I want to be there and be a part of it because it's so exciting. When SummerSlam was in Los Angeles at LA Live, it was electric.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, when it was in San Jose, same thing, just electric. Seeing Jim the Anvil Neidhart and The Undertaker and all my friends and, and even getting love from the fans as they would call my name from the barrier across the street, even to get my autograph, made me feel alive and made me feel like, oh man, people still care. They still know me. They still this, that, and the other. Having current talent, come up to you and say, thank you for, your contribution and your pioneering, the way for us to do this. And it made me feel great. And I had a good time. But now, I have no fire whatsoever to go and do nothing, be a part of nothing.
Well, that is a pretty glum outlook, but again, there's millions of fans that feel the same way as they continue to vanish from the product. And that is why an event like ours, I think, is had such a great regional response. The Back to the 90s WrestleFest, as we celebrate our 20th anniversary on November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose. It's a chance to go back in time and see those legends that they love so much and be able to meet them and interact with them and engage with them and pay homage to them. And I think it's a really great thing.
Fans know that they are going to meet and greet and interact with wrestlers that over the years generally showed that they cared about them.
Exactly. Great point.
You know, these current people, and I have said this over and over and over again, you know, they come out and they treat the fans like they Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
You know, like they untouchable, you know. I mean, you know, and fans get that. I mean, fans get it when somebody come out and they struggling to shake hands, you know, like they germaphobes. They struggle to shake hands when they come out the ramp for the entrance.
Yep.
And they walk, fans are waiting outside, and then they walk by and don't even look left or right to acknowledge people. I mean, I mean, and I've seen it with my own eyes, and not only could I not believe it, I'm like that Indian from that old commercial with the pollution, where he see the pollution and have one tear coming out of his eye.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
I do, yeah.
But that's just what I saw a few times, and that was just my reaction. I could not believe what I was looking at, and it saddened me to that point. You got to understand something, these people, and I hope people can hear me right now, because what I'm going to say is deep, and then we can go.
All right.
These people are your bread and your butter. They put food on your table. They put money in your pocket. It is not just a job. It's an adventure. It is a thing where you have got to acknowledge the people that acknowledge you. It is not important. It is life. Treat people how you want to be treated, and the fans are the reason why you have a job. Now, if you want to go somewhere and wrestle and be by yourself, then you get a ring, turn off the lights, and go be by your damn self. But if you're going to call yourself a superstar with fans, you need to acknowledge the people that acknowledge you.
Yeah, that's very deep, Oscar. I appreciate that. As we are running out of time, unfortunately, folks, we do have a big week ahead. Tomorrow night at 10 p.m. after WWE NXT, it is the final Wrestling Insider Extremes episode featuring the legendary New Jack from that company. We taped 6 episodes. The first 5 have aired. And New Jack is with us for one final original episode tomorrow night. You are not going to want to miss it. We will be joined by former ECW champion Justin Credible in the coming week, so don't worry. Every Tuesday night at 10, we're still going to go back to the world of extreme that was ECW. Wednesday night, we're back with Demolition Axe as he continues to look at the World Wrestling Federation in 1987. Thursday night at 10 p.m. after Dark Side of the Ring and Impact on AXS TV, Marty Jannetty is back for Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty. Marty looks at WWF in the year 1990. Then we round out the week with the one and only J-Fab himself, John Cena Sr. On November 13th, he's going to have Fabo Pop and hot sauce, and God only knows what other kind of knickknacks. So we got a big week of talk shows ahead. But for my partner in crime, the host of this program, the one and only, the man on a mission, Oscar, I'm Dan Marati. Be well.
Stay.
Wait, what? You talking to me?
No.
Oh, you're not talking to me. All right. Well, for my partner in crime, Oscar, who you can meet November the 13th when we go back to the 90s at Memorial Hall in Melrose, I'm Dan Marati. Be well, be healthy. Good night from Boston. Thank you for joining us. Please give the video a big thumbs up, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the channel to enjoy more great content. Don't forget, you can help keep wrestling legends working. Check out our eBay store and join the Boston Wrestling family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling so we can produce more in-depth shoot interviews.